What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this motherfucking YouTube shit. This is serious. Wow, what the fuck?
What's up? It's your boy Kevin on YouTube shit. Hey man, we are lit. Listen to me, turn. Today to my face, straight outside, big crip in the gang, straight outside shit, man. Free Palestine, free Congo, rushing your thing, and take it, stand the fuck up. Each day is going to be a better version of yourself. Never let someone bring you down, or step back. Never let someone tell you who you are, but also let put yourself in a position to belong. Let's stay humble. Let's go on revolution on this moment. Keep Yahweh first. Come to the Black Hebrew Israelite. As a real Jew, we out you. Alright, boom. Today to my face, straight outside, big crip in the gang, straight outside shit, man. Turn up. Go. Bruh. So, what we gonna talk about today, man? Billionaires. Success and doing whatever they want to do. Unfortunately, man, we live in a society, man, where billionaires can do whatever the fuck they want to do. If you ain't got $1 billion, bitch, you can't even walk down the street and some bullshit. They trying to lock you up or do goofy shit. But this shit about Diddy, man, it's way much deeper than what we think, man. Cause of course you put all the bullshit out in the front air for everybody to look at. But it's always some shit behind scenes, like being black, trying to help the people out, putting people on, and getting people to positions to win and shit behind the scenes. You get what I'm saying? They always put the bullshit out, but like I said, I ain't saying like Diddy ain't doing none of this shit because I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna talk about this shit, man. So Diddy, man, had the documentary come out. You know what I'm saying? And Diddy, bruh, 50 Cent is one of the GOATs for this. You know what I'm saying? Cause bruh, Diddy gotta be like, damn, this nigga really made the whole documentary. This nigga really got this footage. Before I got to jail, he got some footage of me talking about some bullshit and other footage. So we got episode 2, 3, and 4. We already did episode 1. Y'all can check it out on my YouTube, Kevin 2 Turn. You know what I'm saying? But this 2, 3, and 4, Diddy in it. And like I said, this is not the full Netflix documentary because, copyright bullshit, Netflix. But it's going to break down. It got like clips in it. It got people talking about it. And it's really good, though. Let's get into it. Crip. Alright, gang, so we got shout out to Box News Official. We got Sean Conner Reckoning from Bad Boy to Monster, episode 2. So we watched episode 1 already. This episode 2, we gonna watch 3. So like I told y'all niggas, it's not gonna be like, you feel me, like 100% of the video, cause copyright and shit, but it's gonna be like clips and we gonna talk about it and it's like the breakdown basically. You know what I'm saying? Like what's going on. Shit crazy.
And I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what,
no copyright and shit, man. This shit crazy around this bitch.
Working together the right way. We're losing.
For the first time, it feels less like a superstar
And
managing a
Diddy's gonna be jumping
crisis
in
and more like
documentaries
a
next.
man watching his control vanish in real time. Every word in that short call hints at panic, pressure, and the fear that his usual tricks won't save him this time. And while he is fighting to hold on in that hotel room, the people who once stood beside him are finally telling their own stories. One of the most powerful voices is Kalena Harper, the bad boy and dirty money artist who saw up close how charming he could be in public and how cold, selfish, and toxic he could feel in real life.
Sean Combs is an asshole. He is the motherfucker you're not gonna like and you're not gonna get along with if he doesn't get his way. He quickly became my hero.
Whatever I want to get. Whatever I want, I have to get.
If y'all had a chance to meet this guy, you would be like, this energy is everything. I gotta get up and go. I gotta get up and do it.
What's next? I gotta get it. I'm not gonna stay down.
He was presenting this freedom that black people hadn't had. Like, we hadn't experienced a black man being able to say, I don't want that. So when I first met him, he quickly became
Diddy was a boss, nigga.
the guy I wanted to be like.
Kalena speaks like someone who has lived inside his world, not just watched it from the outside. She talks about how working with him meant dealing with a man who could be charming in public, but cold, selfish, and harsh behind closed doors, and how that energy slowly wore her down. She describes the environment around him as toxic, with constant pressure to stay quiet, make money, and accept bad behavior as normal if you wanted to keep your spot. Even when she didn't see every single thing others now describe, she still felt the control, the mood swings, and the way loyalty was used against people. Hearing her call him out after all these years makes his collapse in that hotel room feel even heavier, because you're seeing how his need for power damaged the people who once helped build his success.
Man, we all know why they took
and
Diddy out.
Kalena isn't the only bad boy artist who says his power came with a heavy price.
Man,
Aubrey O'Day from Danity
shit,
Kane goes even further, saying he doesn't just
He
want
probably was doing
success,
freaky
he
shit.
wants to control
You know what I'm saying?
everyone
But
around
you know
him.
what the fuck
When you're a
going on,
leader
man.
in that way, it's
Man, say he wasn't
admirable
doing no
until you
freaky
get
shit.
to the point where you want to control everyone around you.
But
He got to that point.
Aubrey talks about a man who needs to own the room, the story, and the people in it. She says working under him never felt like a normal artist-label relationship. It felt like he was constantly testing how far he could push her, from her image to her body to her boundaries. The way she tells it, defying him meant risking everything, and going along meant losing pieces of herself, one by one.
I mean, she
her
ain't
words
lying.
add a new layer of danger to the picture you already have. It's not just about one bad night or one cruel decision. It's about a pattern of control that wrapped itself around everyone in his orbit. And if Aubrey shows you how he tried to control his artists, Roger Bonds shows you how deep that control ran behind the scenes. As Diddy's former head of security, Bonds watched the power grow up close. And he says the more Diddy got, the more he believed he could own everything and everyone around him.
It was like the more money he got, the more power he got, the more power he got, the more money he got.
so he might watch 3
And he
episodes.
always felt like
You know what I'm
money
saying?
could get him
Shit,
out of
tripping.
everything.
Bonds describes a man who fed on power like fuel. As the money, fame, and access exploded, Diddy started to act like there was no limit to what he could ask for or cover up, as long as he stayed on top. Bonds talks about private jets, secret doctors, and quiet payouts as tools to keep problems hidden and people in line. Also, Diddy could feel untouchable. He makes it clear that this wasn't just ego. It was a mindset. If he could buy it, control it, or scare it, then it was his. Hearing that from the guy who was hired to protect him makes the whole story feel darker, like you're finally seeing how the machine really worked. And then there's the view from inside his inner circle from someone whose whole job was to help him build and protect the image. Capricorn Clark, his former personal assistant, says Diddy wasn't just living a story. He was always writing one, casting himself as the hero who could do anything and get away with everything.
Put stuff in my fanny pack.
He's creating a narrative always. He is the best storyteller in hip-hop. He thinks he's Black Superman. I can do what I want.
Capricorn describes a boss who treated life like a script he controlled from start to finish. She says he was always crafting a narrative where he was the unbeatable figure in hip-hop, the Black Superman who could move money, people, and even danger around to fit whatever story he wanted to tell. That mindset made everything feel staged. The parties, the romances, even the apologies. She talks about how working for him meant helping sell that myth to the world, while privately seeing the fear, rage, and violence that never made it into the picture. Coming after Bonds' warnings about power, her words make it clear this wasn't chaos. It was a carefully built fantasy of total control. That's where former bad boy artist Mark Curry steps in, with a warning that sounds less like gossip and more like a final verdict. Curry cuts through all the glamour and legend and goes straight to the core. You can't keep doing damage and expect the bill to never show up.
Yeah,
He talks like a man who has watched years of quiet hurt pile up around Diddy.
for Diddy
Artists
to be
left
50
broke, staff
to
broken
60
down,
and just
people
not getting
used and then
caught?
dropped when they
Shit.
stopped being useful. To him, the lawsuits, the raids, and now this documentary don't feel random. They feel like the natural result of a life built on stepping over others. When he says you can't keep hurting people and nothing ever happens, it lands like a chill in the room, because by this point in the story, you've already seen exactly what he means. After Mark Curry's warning,
Yeah,
the
that
story
karma
goes
builds
back
up.
to the very
Trip.
beginning, to the man who helped build Bad Boy from the ground up. Kirk Burroughs, the co-founder of Bad Boy Entertainment, remembers a teenage
Like
Sean
Scottie
Combs who
Pippen,
felt like pure raw energy, all ideas and ambition.
I was there from the very beginning with the invention of
Sound like
Sean
Scottie Pippen.
Combs. I co-founded Bad Boy with Sean. I was dazzled by his ideas and his unique talent. But he was a very different Sean Combs back then. Sean was 19 when he dropped out of Howard University.
Howard?
He wanted to be in the flashy, swaggy music industry. He started off dancing, wanted to be in videos,
Harvard.
wanted to be a pop culture
Howard sound pretty like a
mover and
black
shaker
college.
at a time where things were changing.
Kirk talks about meeting Sean when he was just a 19-year-old college dropout chasing the music business while hip-hop and R&B were exploding into pop culture. He says he was dazzled by Sean's vision, the way he could see a whole movement before it even existed. Back then, Sean wasn't the global mogul we know now. He was a kid desperate to get inside the industry while the sound of New York was changing. Kirk's words make it clear that Bad Boy didn't start as a villain story. It started as two hungry young men riding a wave that felt bigger than both of them. But Kirk also makes it clear that even the early Sean was different from the wild party image he later sold. What stood out wasn't drugs or alcohol. It was how badly he wanted the money, the access, and the power that came with them.
He didn't drink alcohol. He forbade marijuana. He did not like drugs.
Huh?
He had the Gumby and he looked like a scholastic dweeb.
But Sean was so determined. I'll be sure they had all the money and all the power, and I was like, I don't know what they did, but that's what I want to do.
I got to Uptown a few months after Sean did, and I saw him being built into cool. We had to go through the Uptown flavor camp.
Kirk says Sean didn't drink and wasn't into drugs, but his addiction was something else. Power. He remembers Sean pointing at artists like Heavy D and saying they had everything: cash, status, influence, and that he wanted that same level for himself. Watching him, Kirk saw a shift from hungry young promoter to someone studying power like a blueprint. How it looks, how it moves, how it bends people. That change from I want to be in the room to I want to own the room is what scares him in hindsight. It's the seed of the man who would later treat every person and contract like something he had to control completely. Kirk doesn't deny Sean's work ethic. In fact, that's part of what makes his story so intense. He describes a young man so driven that reality had to move out of his way.
The young Sean Combs during that time, he was tenacious. You would ask him to turn Wednesday into Tuesday, he would set about doing it. People are shaped by pain as well as by love. And if it's more pain than love, watch out. It's going to be pain that you're going to give others because you're responding to that pain that you just can't seem to cut out of you.
He says Sean was so tenacious that if you told him to turn Tuesday into Wednesday, he'd find a way to make it happen. That kind of focus can build empires. But Kirk adds a darker thought. People are shaped by love or by pain. And if someone carries more pain than love, you need to be careful. In Sean's case, that pain and hunger fused into a mindset where no didn't exist. Kirk's comment turns his grind into something almost dangerous, like watching a storm build. It suggests that the same force that made Sean a superstar also made him willing to push past other people's limits, no matter who got hurt. Then Kirk describes the first moment where the ambition crosses a line and you can feel the moral ground shift. It happens in an office, in the middle of an ordinary day, and it changes how he sees Sean forever.
Sean was in his office. I'm in a little cubby hole around the corner. Buzzes me. So I get up and I go in with my papers and go. A girl is giving him a blowjob at the desk. He wanted me to see that. He wanted me to see her face. And then he was able to get her to do that right then and there in the office. She leaves. What did you want me for? I didn't want you for anything. That was the beginning for me to see. So the seeds for all of this was growing on. And that came from people in the industry co-signing his activity. Because it brought money in.
Kirk recalls Sean buzzing him into the office, and when he walks in, seeing a woman giving Sean some kind of injection. He says it felt like Sean wanted him to witness it, like a show of what his life had become and what he could get away with. For Kirk, that scene isn't just about drugs or needles. It's about how the people around Sean, industry insiders, executives, hangers-on, kept co-signing his behavior because the money was flowing. That quiet moment in the office turns into a symbol of everything that followed. The more outrageous the behavior, the more people looked away, as long as the checks cleared. And then the story stops being symbolic and turns physical. Kirk describes one night that shows exactly how far Sean was willing to go when he wanted control.
One day, it seemed like out of the blue, my door opens up. Sean walks in. He had a baseball bat and a big attaché case suitcase with the snaps on it. Stocks were there.
We in a fucking hustle. We in a grind. Do your job. Whenever you're ready.
He wanted me to sign my 25% over. And then he's over me like this. He wants the stock back. He wants it now. He said, there's a business deal I need to take care of. I need to do this, and I need to get this all on one side, but I'll give it back to you. I'm going to give it back to you. And he threatened until I did. People always say to me, why would you do that? Like, why did you do that? Like, that was, I didn't want to give it back. I wanted to stay in good graces. I still wanted to be at the company. It wasn't like he was firing me. But I was definitely confused by it. It might sound strange, but if you've ever built something and you want it to last, you think about how to make it last.
He says Sean showed up at his door out of nowhere, holding a baseball bat, demanding that Kirk sign over his 25% stake in Bad Boy for a new business deal. According to Kirk, this wasn't a tense negotiation. It was a threat. Sean wanted that piece of the company, and he wanted it immediately, using fear instead of a contract to get what he wanted. Kirk says he finally signed because the bat and the pressure made it clear there was no safe way to refuse. Coming after everything else, this moment feels like the point where ambition fully turns into intimidation, where partnership becomes something closer to hostage-taking. Years later, in 2003, Kirk tried to fight back in court. He sued Sean over Bad Boy, accusing him of breaching their deal, committing fraud, and cutting him out of what he was owed. But the case never went the distance. The court dismissed it after ruling that his claims were brought too late under the law, leaving the deeper questions about what really happened between them unanswered and hanging over the story like unfinished business. Up to this point, most of the voices are speaking from inside Bad Boy. Then the camera shifts to the other side of the map, to someone tied to Tupac Shakur, and the mood gets even darker. Tupac's cousin, William Lassane, remembers a time when every corner of the scene felt wired with danger, and Puff's name was never too far from the tension.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I know you, Puff. I know you hide things well. I know you bury things well. I know you lie well. You didn't think I would ever get to the point of telling people what you've done. Put us in a room with people who don't know. And he's the most powerful man. But if you're in a room alone with him...
Lassane describes looking around and seeing violence everywhere, like it was part of the air people were breathing back then. He talks about the East Coast-West Coast tension, about how every party, studio, and hallway felt like it could flip into something deadly at any moment. In his view, Puff wasn't just a businessman watching from a distance. He was deeply uneasy about Tupac, feeling threatened by Pac's power, voice, and reach. That fear, Lassane suggests, helped feed an atmosphere where small slights turned into big wars, and rumors turned into real bloodshed. His words pull you out of contracts and offices and drop you into a world where ego, music, and street energy were all on a collision course. William Lassane sets the stage with talk of tension and violence, but the doc doesn't stop there. It zooms in on one night that would change hip-hop forever, starting with something as simple as a studio session. Former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry explains that around that time, Tupac was supposed to record a track with Lil Sean at the now infamous Quad Studios in New York. Curry's comment makes the whole thing feel almost normal at first. Just another late-night recording plan, another artist coming through to lay a verse. But because you already know what happens at Quad, his words land like a countdown. He's talking about Pac walking straight into a place that's about to become a crime scene, with Bad Boy's World and Pac's World crossing in one tight hallway. By putting Pac, Lil Sean, and Quad all in the same sentence, Curry quietly connects the music business schedule to one of the most mysterious and argued about shootings in rap history. It feels like the moment where industry politics turn into something much more dangerous. Then the story shifts from people talking about Pac to Pac talking about himself. In the doc, you hear his own words about that night and how strange the setup felt even before the first shot was fired.
I started working for Puff in April of 2004. I was his assistant. My first day started off cool, and it got interesting over the course of the day.
We picking more on these kids.
Over the course of the day. We drove around the city, and he was giving me, like, the run of the show, like, you'll take notes, you'll go with me in meetings, you'll make sure my food is ready in the morning.
Pac describes how the invite came out of the blue. They wanted him to do a song. He stopped to grab some weed, and his phone kept lighting up with messages asking where he was and why he was taking so long. At first, it sounds like normal studio urgency, but the more he talks, the more it feels like pressure, like someone was desperate to get him into that building at that exact time. His line, basically asking why they want me so bad, hits like a warning he didn't fully understand until it was too late. Knowing what's waiting at Quad, his story turns from casual to chilling in a few seconds. And Pac isn't the only one who felt something off about that night. Lil Cease, who was moving with Biggie and Bad Boy at the time, adds a detail from inside the building that makes the whole scene feel even more staged.
Later that night, he took me to Central Park with his head of security, and he said, Cap, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. At some point, Puff found out that I knew my relationship was with his baby's mother, who is still to this day my best friend. He says, hey, I didn't know you had anything to do with Suge. Like, if something happens, I'm going to have to kill you.
Lil Cease says they were heading up to record with Puff and Big when the elevator doors opened, and just as they were about to step out, two men told them to go back inside. It's a small moment, but in the context of what happens next, it feels huge. His memory suggests that certain people in the building seemed to know something was about to go down, and wanted
like
Big and Puff out of the way when it did. The way he tells it, you can't help but wonder if Pac was being walked into a trap while others were quietly pulled back to safety. That shadow of planning and protection is what makes people question whether this was bad luck or something much darker. Just when it can't get darker, it comes back to Capricorn Clark and what working for him was really like behind the scenes. She explains that even their story, which started with big opportunities and trust, turned into something that felt straight out of a nightmare.
And I was getting a page, where you at, where you at, where you at, why you ain't coming? I was like, I'm coming, I'm on my way, hold on. I wasn't thinking, why they want me here so bad.
New Year.
Walking up to the building, somebody screamed from the top of the studio, and it's Little Caesar. He's like Biggie's side man, right? We was in the recording with Big and Puff, and I'm yelling like, yo, Pop. He looked up, yo, what's up, little nigga? I go back in the room, I tell Big, I'm like, yo, Big, Pop downstairs. He was like, oh, all right, go get him. Get into the elevator, and when I was about to walk out, two dudes came from both. I get the fuck back in the elevator. Shit.
Recording artist Tupac Shakur was shot 5 times last night in a robbery attempt.
After surgery, his condition was upgraded to satisfactory, and he checked out of the hospital against his doctor's advice. I think they're trying to rub me out, really. Robbers don't leave behind $80,000 Rolexes. You know what I mean? They don't do that, in case nobody knows.
Diddy's dirty money is insane.
Puff is there. Pac has been shot in New York under your watch.
Question would be, who knew that he was pulling up?
Biggie, knowing myself, had nothing to do whatsoever of Tupac being robbed. That's just a fact.
After everything that has unfolded, I have to think twice about.
Capricorn says things began normally enough, like any high-pressure job in music, until one day he took her to Central Park and told her he would kill her. She admits she never told anyone at the time, because the fear and the power imbalance were that strong. Hearing it now, you can feel how trapped she felt, alone with a boss who could end her career with a call, and in her mind, maybe her life too. It turns the idea of working for a superstar into something cold and terrifying, as if every favor and every task came with an invisible threat attached. That moment in the park wasn't a one-off either. Capricorn says the years that followed showed her just how deep his control really went.
You think Puffy was involved in the shooting?
I believe so. I do believe so. But you can see now why someone like a Puff would want someone like a Pop out the picture. You know, Pop was vilified while he was alive. And Puff was exalted. That's the bigger picture. And that's a story that hasn't been told.
She explains that she worked for him on and off until 2012, and in that time, got to know sides of him most people never see. According to her, he is a master of mental games, finding your weak spots, your fears, and then pressing on them whenever he wants to pull you back in line. She talks about how retaliation was always in the air, even if it wasn't spoken out loud. Lose his favor, and you could lose your job, your reputation, maybe your whole future in the industry. Coming after everything you've already heard, her words make his empire feel less like a company and more like a psychological cage for the people closest to him. After everything you've heard from staff, artists, and security, the most haunting voice might still be Cassie Ventura. In 2023, she filed a lawsuit saying Sean Combs spent years beating her, controlling her, forcing her into drug-fueled freak-offs with male escorts, and even attacking her in that now-famous 2016 hotel incident. Her case was settled in a day, but she later took the stand in his criminal trial and became the key witness, laying out a pattern of violence, threats, and total control over her life. Those claims and the evidence that followed helped push federal prosecutors to build the case that finally stuck. Now, after all the denials, spin and damage control, Sean Combs is serving a long prison sentence for the crimes the court could prove. And the story the world is hearing about him will never go back to what it was. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.
On to Box News, man. Episode 3. That was just episode 2. We already watched episode 1. You can look back in the YouTube. Episode 3. The day before he got arrested.
Let me tell you something. Let me say this. I'm not a referee. So I'm gonna get off the phone right now. Listen to me. I'm gonna get off the phone right now, and I am gonna let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what nobody said. Let's just here and there, y'all are not working together.
Only 50 months is insanely good.
Where he has all this turmoil, but he's not at the point where he's saying where I went wrong. He's saying to himself, how do I get out of this?
Right.
Maybe I can convince some witnesses that I'm not the guy who I am. Eventually, he's going to get to the point where he's going to ask himself, how did I get myself into this situation?
The intercourse would usually last maybe 4 or 5 rounds, depending on how many times she climaxed. It was a little under 2 days, maybe 18 to 20 hours.
Damn.
And they gave me about $6,000. Sean was in his office. I'm in a little cubby hole around the corner. Buzzes me. So I get up and I go in with my papers and go. A girl is giving him at the desk. He wanted me to see that. He wanted me to see her face. And then he was able to get her to do that right then and there in the office.
This episode explores the newly uncovered evidence, leaked footage, and the key voices that are now shaping the case against Diddy. Andy Signore explained that Netflix made a major legal mistake in the documentary by including footage where Diddy is seen speaking with his lawyer. He emphasized that the lawyer even stated on camera that such moments should never be recorded, making the inclusion of this material extremely damaging. According to Signore, exposing private legal conversations breaks attorney-client privilege and paints Diddy in a highly incriminating light, both in public perception and in the courtroom.
Despite Diddy's own legal protests, Netflix did release its 4-part docuseries, Sean Combs: The Reckoning. Some of this footage is truly shocking. Not that it tells us stuff we didn't know, but that it's footage with him with his own lawyer, sitting there, Mark Agnifilo, Costco lawyer himself. There's literally a part where they're like, hey, you shouldn't be recording this. There's also footage from Lil Rod, months of them recording together, and so many voice notes.
I wish we could watch the original thing, but we can't.
Sean Combs,
They don't
including
clap a nigga.
voice calls with KK herself. How did Netflix get all this? How are they not being sued?
Furthermore, Signore expanded on this point by stressing that the documentary's biggest flaw was allowing cameras into legal discussions. While written notes from lawyers are acceptable, bringing a cameraman into these conversations instantly destroys confidentiality. This means conversations that should have been protected can now be used against Diddy, creating a serious legal risk for him.
From my understanding of my own case, filming a documentary about my case, from what I've gathered from my own lawyers, I'm not a lawyer, but they're like, you can't film any of this legal stuff. When we're talking in court, etc., you can't film it. You lose the privilege, right, of attorney-client privilege, because then now someone else is there, there's a record, there's something else. That can be used, like notes and stuff, fine, but documenting a video with a third-party cameraman, etc., that's where things get blurry. If you're in a phone call with your lawyer and someone else is on, that can lose the privilege.
Based on Murad Merali's analysis, he argued that the documentary was created with a clear mission to build a legal and moral case against Diddy. He said the most important message the film delivers is its claim that Diddy played a direct role in the events surrounding Tupac Shakur's death. Merali framed this allegation as the foundation of the documentary's narrative.
To me, to see that and then to see him in this documentary is very interesting, because I think that he is the most important part of this documentary, and I will tell you why. The way he narrated was so important, but he is setting up the foundation to us to go to the next part of this documentary and look at how Diddy was a part of the missing and the killing of Tupac.
Hundreds, if not thousands.
That's what Cut Burrows is basically leading us into.
Merali also stated that the testimony of Joy Dickerson Neal forms a crucial pillar of the documentary. He analyzed Diddy's alleged actions, recording intimate encounters and showing them to others as deliberate attempts to assert dominance over other men and inflate his ego. He concluded that this pattern of control and exploitation reflects a core part of Diddy's personality, directly connected to the accusations raised by Cassie and multiple other women.
Joy Dickerson Neal is one of the main parts of this whole documentary. How she was essayed by this man, allegedly what she states, she cries, gets emotional. It was filmed, it was put up on screens to see. And there were other people in these confessionals, I've forgotten their names, who basically spoke about the fact that there were, people on the road who had, notoriety, who would do parties and they would also display the same stuff. Diddy saw this and wanted to emulate it because it's a power move. All of this is a power move. Filming a woman, you lot being intimate or him essaying you, then he's putting it on the screen to say, look, I've got your girl. I've got this girl. This is what I'm doing to this girl. All of this is just power moves to show other men that he's bigger than them. And it basically ruffles their feathers and it fills up his ego. Which is why he went for Misa Hilton, because he wanted to just have her as a chess piece and then control her. That attribute to how he sees women, how he controls them, how he uses them is very centric and important, not only to Cassie's lawsuit and that video, but also to the other women that, of course, are speaking out, whether it be right now in the lawsuits or prior.
But looking ahead of this documentary, Angela Yee highlighted one of the oldest and most serious allegations against Diddy involving Joy Dickerson Neal. Neal claimed she was drugged and sexually assaulted by Diddy in 1991. She also said Diddy later suggested he had a video of the encounter, which added to her fear. Neal stated that when she tried to seek help, people around her chose to protect their ties to Diddy instead of supporting her, leaving her isolated and traumatized.
This person is Joy Dickerson Neal, and she is an alleged victim of his, also a former acquaintance of his, and she has actually has one of the oldest allegations made against him. She says that he assaulted her in 1991, and he denies these allegations. But here's what she had to say about that alleged assault.
Was there ever a time that Sean Combs assaulted you?
Yes. Someone called me up and told me that, he said, he has video. And that's when he described it. This thing was incredibly devastating to my family. I approached a lot of people for help. I got things like, what do you want me to do about it?
But you understand it when you're around a billionaire.
I can't get into his parties.
Like, bro,
recalled that after avoiding Diddy for many years, she unexpectedly crossed paths with him again. She said Diddy approached her, got down on his knees, and insisted he was innocent. She described this emotional confrontation as the final time she ever spoke to him.
I avoided him for a very long time. I ran into him one day. He came to me. He got on his knees and swore he did not do this thing to me and denied it. And that is the very last time I talked to him.
Meanwhile, Lauren LaRosa clarified the documentary's narrative choices and the voices driving its allegations. She pointed to two key figures, Eric Sermon from EPMD and alleged eyewitness Kirk Burroughs, as central sources. She then focused on Misa Hilton, explaining that Hilton refused to participate and felt unfairly pulled back into a past she has moved beyond. LaRosa said Hilton believed her reputation and current work were harmed by being associated with these old events again.
Who was the one that was
saying? Let me clear it up. So Eric Sermon of EPMD is the one that's having a conversation about him and Misa being friends, but Puff thought it was a bit more than that. Now, the second voice is Kirk Burroughs, and Kirk Burroughs is the person that alleged that he saw this fight situation between Misa and Puff, and Misa. That's not even a conversation she wants to have. She says that right now, she's moved on from all of this. Like, she says it's so disappointing that she was brought up in the way that she was in this docuseries. Number one, she says that they did reach out to her to be a part of it, and she declined. And she just doesn't understand why they're bringing all this up now, because it attaches to her. Like, she's doing businesses, she has nonprofits that she's working on, and these type of conversations and stories, because of how big this case is with Diddy, attached to her and what she's trying to do. And she just like, why? Like, why did I get brought up?
That's gonna be a LeBron James documentary
Former model Precious Muir described a disturbing moment at a party connected to Diddy's vodka brand. She said her drink was spiked, leading to memory loss about what happened afterward. Muir explained that the incident permanently affected her life, leaving her deeply traumatized and unable to fully trust people again.
So I went to the vodka brand that he's was associated with at the time, had a launch party, and I was there. And I was in an environment with, obviously, him and his people that he's surrounding with. And there was an incident where I was drugged.
I deposited
I believe there was something that was put in my drink, and I don't have much recollection after what happened to me. And it still stays with me to this day. It's something that will never leave me. It has changed my life completely, because I don't trust many people.
Looking at this documentary, Tisa Tells offered a psychological breakdown of Diddy's behavior. She argued that exposure to sex and violence at a young age warped his understanding of boundaries and relationships. She claimed this early trauma shaped him into someone who treats intimacy like performance and uses identity as a tool for manipulation, patterns she believed carried into adulthood, including alleged violence toward his mother.
This man lost his virginity at 12 years old. You think about it, exposure to pee and adult sex at parties, that equals zero boundaries and high confusion.
That nigga right there, that white dude
going
through some shit
intimacy. He learned performance. He discovered
that's why dropping the documentary on that white dude. We look at him.
And when you add in the exposure, the alleged exposure to violence inside the home, let's not forget Gene Dill, the bodyguard who I interviewed. He claimed he saw a young Diddy physically lash out at his own mother.
They got a whole documentary on this nigga with the pictures and everything. This hasn't been verified because I wasn't there. But it is consistent with a household lacking boundaries. Because kids repeat chaos they're raised in, sometimes even against the people who raised them. And that's where this pattern starts. Diddy learned at an early age to use identity as a weapon.
Tisa Tells declared that the documentary validated what she has believed for years. She said Diddy's fame and image never fooled her, and the documentary's footage revealed his true character without needing interpretation. According to her, Diddy's recorded words and actions alone are enough to expose who he really is. Tisa Tells ended by saying she feels vindicated because everything she suspected about Diddy is now in the open. She believed the documentary doesn't rely on opinions. It relies on Diddy's own behavior. To her, the evidence is clear and undeniable.
The whole point of the matter is, I feel vindicated.
Nigga, this nigga done connected all these niggas' lives to some bullshit.
Diddy to be
the hell?
Has all the glamour and shit. That shit don't impress me. I don't impress all these niggas' lives wannabe men that were on their knees hoping Diddy would bless them. But it didn't impress me. But who I saw him to be and who you guys saw him to be, yeah, it shows it. And they don't even got to walk you to water. They just show you who Diddy is in his own words. Because, baby, they got a lot of footage where Diddy himself is acting a fool.
Well, I mean, when you've been in the scene for like 20, 30 years,
footage used by Netflix was shown without authorization. It included private moments, pre-indictment recordings, and legal strategy conversations that were never meant for public release. They say this footage was originally shot for a separate project that was never finished, and at no point did they transfer rights to Netflix. According to them, a payment dispute between third third parties cannot grant Netflix permission to use or publish unlicensed private material. They emphasized that none of the videos came from Diddy or his team and demanded accountability, questioning how the footage was obtained and why it was included in the documentary in the first place. Diddy's team. We have confirmed that Netflix used footage that was never authorized for release, including private moments, pre-indictment material from an unfinished project, and conversations involving legal strategy that were not intended for public viewing. The footage was created for an entirely different purpose, under an arrangement that was never completed, and no rights were ever transferred to Netflix. A payment dispute between outside parties does not create permission for Netflix to use unlicensed private material. None of this footage came from Mr. Combs or his team, and its inclusion raises serious questions about how it was obtained and why Netflix chose to use it. In his own words, 50 Cent explained that the real strength of the documentary comes from its honesty. He believed that even if Diddy dislikes some parts or feels uncomfortable watching them, he won't be able to deny what's shown. In the 50's view, the footage speaks for itself, and the truth is too clear to ignore. He added that people are already calling the project one of the best documentaries they've seen in years, which proves its impact. So while Diddy may disagree with certain scenes, 50 Cent thought he'll still recognize the reality behind them because the documentary doesn't rely on opinions, only on what actually happened.
Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. You see people saying that, man, you may feel a different way about
that's what I think he should say, but damn.
He knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth in it.
However you book your hotel, first check Kayak to see what lots of people say about where you're planning to stay. Everywhere. Furthermore, 50 Cent also clarified why he's speaking out, pushing back on the idea that it's driven by personal beef. He explained that whatever between him and Diddy started years ago when Diddy made certain comments that made him uncomfortable, like offering to take him shopping in a way that felt more like a test than a friendly gesture. But 50 stressed that this isn't about old drama. He's addressing the situation now because of what's unfolding publicly, not because of past disagreements. In his view, the conversation is bigger than personal history, and he doesn't want people confusing the two.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right? For 20 years.
I ain't care. 50 Cent a legend for this nigga. Crip nigga.
Suggesting that
these 50 Cent a legend for this nigga. Like, nigga, you know how many niggas would have all this footage and wouldn't do what 50 Cent did?
Maybe you'll come play with me.
Crip.
Type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
From Peter Rosenberg's point of view, he pushed back on 50 Cent's approach, suggesting that 50 has secretly been waiting years for a moment like this. He brought up their long history, starting with how to rob, a track that irritated the entire industry, including Diddy. Rosenberg explained that industry insiders worked against 50, and combined with real street issues, it almost cost him his life. Now that 50 Cent is successful and untouchable, Rosenberg believes he sees all this as payback, something light, fun, and without consequences. At this stage, 50 doesn't care what the industry thinks, which is why he's enjoying calling people out.
But somewhere in my soul, I think Diddy been holding on to this, looking for an opportunity to come for Diddy, since 50 put out How to Rob early.
Oh.
Yes, you know, listen.
Because the whole industry, remember, the whole industry at that time, if you're old enough, you know, of a certain age, you remember that they was mad at 50 for, you know, talking like that in that song. And they tried to really squeeze bro out of the game. And then obviously the streets and other things, shenanigans was going on, which almost ended 50's life. But then he returned. No, your man, no, I'm telling you. And it's all fun and game. It's all funny and fun and games to him now. He don't care.
Oh my God, no.
Similarly, Soul also took a critical stance toward 50 Cent's documentary, arguing that it doesn't feel objective at all. It feels personal. He suggested that 50's real motivation might stem from old emotions tied to his son's mother being involved with Diddy, implying there's unresolved bitterness behind the project. Soul believes 50 Cent is too fixated on Diddy, allowing personal history to overshadow the actual story. Instead of delivering a neutral investigative piece, the documentary comes off as emotionally driven. As more evidence surfaces and more voices step forward, the picture surrounding Sean Combs becomes darker, sharper, and harder to ignore. This isn't just a scandal. It's a trail of footage, testimonies, and long-buried stories finally coming to light. With each new leak, the legal and public pressure on Diddy only intensifies. And if this documentary is exposing anything, it's that the reckoning is far from over.
Cassie got over
if you
$30
found this
million
breakdown helpful,
and
make sure to
still
like
being a
the
bitch.
video and subscribe to the channel.
Episode 4, the evidence that could destroy Diddy. Cassie, goofy ass. Man, there's a lot of females that go through what she went through, ain't gonna die.
Right now, I feel good.
Got her fucked up right now. Now, I've seen Puff with a lot of women. He knew how to take a woman and change her life overnight.
I mean, you a billionaire, I mean.
I miss you too. You gonna look at the flights that hit me back.
Ain't that hard.
Misa was his very first project. He built Misa in Janet's likeness.
In the very young relationship with Misa, she would come to me, where's the money he's supposed to be giving me for our son? Around this time, Sean is developing another life with Kim Porter.
There are emails with pictures of his parents. Here's one email. I don't want to just f you, I want to turn you out. I can see you being with some motherfucker that you tell what to do. I make my woman do what I tell her to do, and she loves it. I just want and like to do things different. I'm gonna finish watching this and finish master.
Imagine watching porn when you got all these bitches around.
If you change your mind and get ready to do what I say, hit me.
You can't lose your hand, bitch.
God bless Diddy. God is the greatest.
He paid all her bills. He was taking her places, putting her on his arm wherever he went. And his promise was, your album is next.
Necessarily, you can't lose your hand.
That's what Puff is good at. Realizing what he got to do to please people. If you're going to take somebody that young and make him wifey, then I feel like you're supposed to protect them. But it didn't turn out like that.
So when I first met him, he quickly became the guy I wanted to be like.
When you're a leader in that way, it's admirable until you get to the point where you want to control everyone around you. He got to that point.
Sean was in his office. I'm in a little cubby hole around the corner. Buzzes me.
You know, sloppy.
So I get up and I go in with my papers and go. A girl is giving him at the desk. He wanted me to see that. He wanted me to see her face. And then he was able to get her to do that right then and there in the office.
My relationship was with his baby's mother, who is still to this day my best friend. He says, hey, I didn't know you had anything to do with Suge. Like, if something happens, I'm going to have to kill you.
They'll be doing these freak-offs, and it'll be Puff and Justin in the room with multiple women. Closed doors, lots of music, and lots of...
We just celebrated.
It's like a little ass time.
It's Good Friday.
She was a part of the cycle
no
of violence.
No niggas getting hit from the back.
That was the turning
point. Fuck it, bring the bitches. You know what I'm saying?
One lawsuit updated just yesterday by
If
a
it's
New
just a
York
party,
artist named Rodney Jones.
Rodney Little Rod Jones.
Worked with Combs on his latest Love album. Jones claims that for more than a year, Combs harassed, and threatened him while working on the project.
The shocking allegations linking Sean Diddy Combs to $1 million murder plot reveal a chilling story behind the East Coast-West Coast feud. The documentary opened by exposing the collapse of Diddy's carefully crafted double life. As journalist and lawyer Ari Melber explained, Diddy spent decades presenting himself as the larger-than-life shiny suit mogul, a symbol of celebration, success, and untouchable fame. Melber argued that behind this, there was a long pattern of coercion and darker behavior. Just like with Richard Nixon, Diddy made a fatal mistake. He recorded his own incriminating material, believing his power would allow him to control it forever. The film showed that a powerful empire was actually a fragile game built on lies. The new evidence isn't changing anything. It's just finally revealing the truth that was always hiding underneath.
From that evidence and a lot of other things over the years, you have this duality to Diddy, where on the one hand, he was one of the biggest figures in hip-hop, both as an executive, a producer, and later as a rapper.
Solomon turned kind of crazy. He was rich as hell. He the richest king we ever had.
History, but argues
He
that he was
turned kind of crazy towards the end. So it's like,
this
all that money and power can turn anybody
in
crazy.
his life and in his
not
career.
walking with God,
The documentary has a lot of evidence and argues that basically, while he looks worse now, and the more recent case kind of showed people what he's like, that there was always this trail of problems for him. And yet in public, he was supposed to be the shiny suit, happy guy. Jay Electronica has this song, Shiny Suit Theory. Everybody who follows hip-hop remembers Puffy and Mace and the whole larger-than-life vibe and the party vibe, and that he was selling that as fundamentally kind of upbeat. He wasn't initially positioning himself as like a pure gangster, negative rapper.
Melber compared Nixon's downfall to Diddy's situation. Both men created their own evidence. Nixon with tapes, Diddy with videos, believing it would give them power over others. They never imagined a time when that power would fade. The recordings would be used against them. Nixon lost the presidency, and the documentary suggests Diddy's empire is now collapsing for the same reason. Melber pointed out that when you document your own wrongdoing, you create the very proof that eventually brings you down.
It's pretty extraordinary when you see powerful people make self-incriminating videos or evidence. Before there even was casual video, there was surveillance, audio. The entire Nixon presidency fell apart, and he was the only president to resign under pressure because of Watergate, which boiled down to audio tape that he made. Diddy also made the same mistake as Nixon, having the kind of power where when you make any tape, audio, video, or whatever, or other evidence, you think you're going to control it. So you think you will use it as needed or for your ends or maybe against some people selectively, right? You say, I got this tape on this conversation, whatever, and you don't think you could ever lose enough power to lose control of the video. Control, a big theme for Diddy.
According to commentator Murad Merali, the documentary's real strength comes from its narrator, Kirk Burroughs. He called Burroughs the shining star because of his deep historical knowledge and powerful delivery. In part 2, Burroughs lays out the foundation of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, explaining the roles of Suge Knight, Diddy, and Tupac as tensions rose. Murad believed that this historical context is essential to understanding the larger story of power, conflict, and controversy that the documentary explores. He said Burroughs' insight keeps the entire episode grounded, making the unfolding story clearer and more impactful for viewers.
According to Kirk Burroughs is the shining star for me when it comes to this documentary. The narration, the history, it goes so deep. And the way that this man articulates himself and delivers this story, to me, I am so entrenched into the TV screen watching part 2. We needed this part. It's so essential to the documentary because it gives us the history, the foundations of the conversation of East Coast, West Coast, the gang wars that were going on, Suge Knight, Diddy, moments of Snoop as well, but mainly Suge Knight, Diddy, and Tupac, and what was going on, about them all with Biggie as well.
Merali also explained that part 2 of the documentary is the strongest because it finally breaks down Diddy's early life and the relationships that shaped him. It showed how people who were supposed to be loyal, especially within the bad boy camp, eventually turned into enemies, revealing a long pattern of internal conflict. Merali highlighted the documentary's message that all this man knows is violence, portraying Diddy as a fake paper gangster who tried to control, use, and dominate anyone around him. This behavior started early in his career and only grew as his power did. Merali stated this section is essential because it exposes the roots of Diddy's public persona and the darker traits that followed him into fame.
Storytelling in part 2 is even better than part 1 to me because it really gives you that insight of where Diddy came from, but also who was he beefing with, who was meant to be on his side. And when Tupac, of course, went to prison for his own issues, the bad boy people ended up being enemies within each other. Insane. All this man knows is violence. All this man knows is violence. He's a fake paper gangster, and he wants to kill people in order to get above them and use them. And these are people who are meant to be Diddy's friends.
In the news channel, director Alexandria Stapleton highlighted that the series features both female and male victims to make a crucial point. Sexual violence transcends. In her view, when you are a victim, you are a victim. Gender should not define the conversation. She stated the series was designed as a platform for these alleged victims to finally share their full truth and context, countering the salacious headlines that had previously defined their stories.
Can you show victims who were women
for some power?
and men? Why is that important?
Because, victims of violence, that should, gender should not be a part of that conversation. When you are a victim, you are a victim.
That is facts.
And I think that, this series was a platform in a way for these alleged victims to come forward, give their truth and context to their situations when so much of it was ripped out, and we just...
You're going against the billionaire. I ain't gonna believe your dumb ass until it's too late.
And they really had the time to tell their story.
Furthermore, Stapleton stated that a central theme of the series is to reveal Sean Diddy Combs' mastery of marketing and controlling his own public narrative. She explained that this talent for shaping perception didn't stop when his life was on the line during his trial. Stapleton said that while this control is evident on the surface, the film delves deeper to examine how these very tactics manifested themselves throughout the legal proceedings.
I think that, one big theme of the series is to go behind the scenes to really understand how brilliant you could say Sean Combs is at marketing, at owning his narrative, controlling the narrative at all times. And so why would that stop, when his life is on the line? So I think that, on its face, that's what it is. But as you get deeper in the film, you start to realize, perhaps how some of these tactics, how they really came to present themselves, during the trial.
Stapleton also clarified that it is absolutely up to the viewer to decide if Sean Diddy Combs has been getting away with things. She stated her job was to show patterns and report the facts of what happened. Stapleton pointed out that clear patterns, trails of destruction and devastation, are evident when examining his history. She emphasized that context is everything, arguing you cannot understand the full story by cherry-picking one case. You must look at the entire picture as a whole.
Are you trying to tell a story that he's been getting away with things this whole time, or is that up to the viewer to decide?
Absolutely up to the viewer. I think that my job was to show patterns, and my job was to report the facts and things that happened. And I think that it's pretty obvious that there are patterns that follow him, trails, of destruction and devastation that follow. And I think that, again, context is everything. And so when you're talking about Sean Combs, when you're talking about these cases, you can't just cherry pick one to make it all make sense. You have to look at the piece as a whole.
Yeah.
Moving ahead to Joe Budden, he broke down one of the disturbing parts of the documentary involving Diddy and Aubrey. He explained that Diddy's messages to her weren't just flirtatious. They were aggressive, explicit, and completely unwanted. The documentary shows a pattern of him trying to control her through pressure. And when Aubrey didn't respond the way he wanted, Diddy snapped publicly, kicking out her entire group in front of her. Joe highlighted how Aubrey's stunned reaction captures just how hostile and unpredictable the situation had become.
His relationship with Aubrey and how he was sending her shit on some.
Did they put her in?
Yo, I'm master tonight. I'm gonna think of you and I wanna and when that didn't go right, then they pan right to the footage of him kicking out the group. And she looking at him like,
oh, wow.
She looking at him like, yo,
Did she speak in the Did she speak in the I think so.
According to Lauren LaRosa, she framed the entirety of the allegations and the court proceedings as a direct manifestation of Diddy's core personality, an unyielding pursuit of power, money, and control. She suggested Diddy operates with a total disregard for others, acting solely on his own desires. LaRosa argued that this sentiment crystallized in the specific and graphic account from a woman who claimed she witnessed Diddy and a security guard assaulting Aubrey Day at his home. The allegation is presented not as an isolated incident, but as the logical and extreme extension of his alleged character.
Breaks down everything. I think it just leans into the whole power, money, control. He does what he wants to do, and he doesn't care about anybody's regard, and which is the sentiment of everything we just watched him go through in court with everybody that No, it was a woman who was at a party in Diddy's home that allegedly says she witnessed Diddy and a security guard assaulting Aubrey O'Day.
The documentary then shifts to one of its most explosive claims. Rob Markman explained that in sworn court testimony, witness Keefe D alleged that Diddy didn't just talk during the East Coast-West Coast feud. He supposedly put $1 million hit on Tupac and Suge Knight. Markman pointed out how shocking that number is, and how the documentary ties it back to Diddy's own music. In the track Muscle Game, released years earlier, the same $1 million threat is heard almost word for word, turning the allegation into something the culture had unknowingly been listening to for years.
Diddy said in the room full of people that he wanted Pac and Suge's heads. And that eventually he said that Puff offered $1 million to have them killed. This is in the doc. This is according to Keefe D. Now in the doc, that $1 million is interesting because in the doc, Mark Curry brings up a song called Muscle Game.
Markman connected the courtroom allegation directly to Diddy's lyrics. On his 2000 track, Muscle Game, Diddy raps, "F with me, I'll drop $1 million on your head, erase you and your whole family." This line mirrors the $1 million contract that Keefe D later testified about in court. Markman showed that Diddy wasn't hiding these threats. They were openly in his music. According to this argument, the lyrics themselves are key evidence that directly connects his art to the real-life allegations.
And on the song, Diddy drops like ad-libs. And he does like a little interlude in the middle of the song where he just pops in to talk his shit. What he says is, and this is the year 2000, I think Keefe D's profit was in 2008, 2009, so this predates all of that.
So this episode,
Puff says,
2, 3, and 4.
"With me, I'll drop $1 million on your head.
That's crazy.
Erase you and your whole family, biatch. Come on." Now that's muscle, right? That's what he says on the track. The way that Mark Curry tells the story is just like, oh, like, why are you saying, like, oh, you a gangster now, for real? Like that Puff was turning into something else, because a lot of this is about his evolution.
Meanwhile, 50 Cent used the documentary as a direct catalyst for his own business strategy. His response signals a deliberate move to capitalize on the public interest, framing his planned projects as a competitive takeover. By invoking his tough persona, he is positioning himself not as a commentator, but as a rival producer who intends to control and dominate the narrative in the coming year. 50 Cent. I got a lot of ideas, y'all, on the doc. I'm already planning next year. I'm from Southside. We don't come to make friends. We come to take over. As the documentary unfolds, the layers of controversy, allegations, and historical tension surrounding Sean Diddy Combs become undeniable. From courtroom testimonies to shocking revelations woven into his music, the evidence paints a chilling portrait of power, control, and dangerous ambition. Whether you view him as a mogul, a mastermind, or a figure haunted by his own choices, the story is compelling and impossible to ignore. This episode of Sean Combs, The Reckoning, leaves viewers with much to reflect on about fame, influence, and accountability. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into...
Alright, we back. So like I said, man, if I had a documentary made about me on some bullshit, like documentary of what Diddy did, it's on some crazy shit. My life is pretty crazy too, you know what I'm saying? As far as like, not the part of the sexual shit. I don't know, fucking them, but it's not like that, you know what I'm saying? When you a billionaire, that's a little bit different. Them freak offs are real freak offs. You fucking how many bitches you or niggas that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I meant females, but you get what I'm saying? But like I said, man, you know, my life, you know what I'm saying, you know, through the stuff that God done showed me and the signs, that my life could be a movie. And the documentary would be crazy. But Diddy documentary, he got like, damn, I really did that? Like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really going that crazy? You feel me? But like I tell y'all niggas, man, hey, we all go through stuff. Nobody's perfect. And we all make mistakes. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I feel like Diddy gotta be like, man, when he get out, man, like, damn, this shit was wild. And it does expose a lot. But at the end of the day, man, I hope y'all enjoy this video, man. And we out this bitch hood, outside, big crip in the game, outside shit, man.
Hey, Dad, you know, dog, when we link up, dog, this shit be legendary. Even though this is instrumental, you the engineer on it, so Kodak everywhere.